The black garden ant, Lasius niger, also known as the common black ant, is a formicine ant, the type species of the subgenus Lasius, which is found across Europe and in some parts of North America, South America, Asia and Australasia. The European species was split into two species, L. niger, which are found in open areas, and L. platithorax, which is found in forest habitats. 1. It is monogynous, meaning colonies contain a single queen. Lasius niger colonies normally range from 4,000 to 7,000 workers, but can reach 40,000 in rare cases. A Lasius niger queen can live for up to 29 years, 2. The longest recorded lifespan for any eusocial insect. 3. Lasius niger queens in the early stages of founding can have 2 to 3 other queens in the nest. They will tolerate each other until the first workers come, then it is most likely they will fight until one queen remains. Under laboratory conditions, workers can live at least 4 years. 4. Lasius niger is host to a number of temporary social parasites of the Lasius mixtus group including Lasius mixtus and Lasius umbratus. Egg to ant. Lasius niger nest. Lasius niger, like other ants, have 4 stages of development: egg, larva, pupa, and adult. Lasius niger lay tiny, white, kidney-shaped eggs with a smooth sticky surface which helps them to be carried in a group instead of one by one. After hatching, Lasius niger proceed onto the larva stage resembling tiny maggots. The larvae need to be fed by the queen or workers in the case of an established colony if they are to mature. As they feed, the larvae grow, shedding their skin, doing so usually 3 times in total. With each molt, the larvae grow hooked hairs which allow them to be carried in groups. When Lasius niger larvae reach the last molt, they are generally too big to be carried as part of a group and so are carried individually. Once the larva grows big enough, it spins a cocoon around itself. To aid this process, a queen or workers may bury the larva so that it can spin its cocoon undisturbed and begin a process of metamorphosis. Once the process is complete, the Lasius niger worker emerges from the cocoon. At this stage, the callow worker is completely white but will darken over the course of an hour until it has turned black. Colony established. The first worker ants that emerge are very small compared to later generations. At this point, the workers immediately begin to expand the nest and care for the queen and brood. They eventually remove the seal from the entrance to the nest and begin to forage above ground. This is a critical time for the colony as they need to gather food quickly to support future growth and particularly to feed the starved queen, who would have lost around 50% of her body weight. From this point on, the queen's egg-laying output will increase significantly, becoming the queen's sole function. The later generations of worker ants will be bigger, stronger and more aggressive because there is more nutrition for them at the larval stage. The initial brood being fed only by the scarce resources available to a queen will be much smaller than brood supported by a team of foraging and nursing workers. Provided workers are able to find food, at this stage the colony will see an exponential rise in population. After several years, once the colony is well established, the queen will lay eggs that will become queens and males. Black ants often make large nests with extensive tunnel connections. Quarantine behavior. When building their colony, the ants structure it so as to inhibit the transmission of different contagions. 6 different communities within the colony are segregated by a limited number of connective nodes, allowing for greater protection of vulnerable hive members, such as larvae and pupae, and the queen. 6. Additionally, individual infected ants have been observed as spending more time foraging outside of the hive, venturing farther than other ants, and limiting their interactions once within the hive again. Long-lived queens. Edit. Although worker ants live for a couple of months, queens typically survive for almost 15 years, citation needed, but there have been instances of queens living up to 29 years, 2. The longest recorded lifespan for any eusocial insect. 3. Understanding the basis for the greater longevity of queens has a bearing on the general unsolved problem in biology of the causes of aging. In the study of long-lived queen ants, it was found that queens have a higher expression than genetically identical workers of genes involved in processing damaged macromolecules. 2. Genes with higher expression included those that are necessary for repair of DNA damage, see DNA damage theory of aging, and genes involved in proteasome-mediated, ubiquitin-dependent, protein catabolic processes.